As disciples of Jesus Christ, we believe in taking care of God's good creation. Hi, I'm Aaron. This is Unapologetics. Today we're talking about taking care of God's good creation and how that should be on the forefront of a lot of Christians' mind. And frankly, I'm quite surprised that it's not. It's such a pressing issue. So why do I think that this should be such a big topic for Christians today? Creation care, taking care of the planet and creation and all that God has made. Well, it all goes back for me to Genesis 1 and 2, where God, in both of these accounts, God creates a very good creation. He calls it good, and so we know that this is really good. We know that God didn't intend for this to be destroyed, like a single-use yogurt container and thrown away into the dumpster. And far too many Christians have believed that for far too long. Back in Genesis 1 and 2, God creates a very good creation, and He puts humanity, men and women created in God's own image, into the Garden of Eden. And in the garden, God gives humanity these charges. Of course, they're to worship God. That goes without saying, right? Worshiping the Creator because the Creator is worthy of all worship. And number two, in Genesis 1, God blesses humanity and says, be fruitful and multiply. And then in both chapters, you see how humanity is to tend to the garden and good creation, tend to the creation and make it more fruitful so that it might be creative as well. So you see this creative thing, this reflection of God, and how humanity, the third prong, how humanity's third purpose, worship, procreation, and gardening, how they are to take care of this. So in thinking of taking care of God's good creation, we have to wonder, why aren't more people doing it? Why aren't more Christians, for instance, recycling? Why aren't more Christians taking care of God? Why aren't we leading in the fore of taking care of this creation? We all know that climate change is a very real and present danger to all of us. We can see the impact of storms. We can see the impact of climate change everywhere. We only have one planet, right? God gave us this, and there may be Martians, there may be extraterrestrial life somewhere, but if there is, God's their God too. But what I'm saying here is we only have this one chance to get this right, and God has given this to us, this perfect world, and we are to protect it and make sure it flourishes, not to selfishly destroy it. And you know as well as I do that that is what sin is. Sin is a destroying, selfish using of what is good. Sin is selfishly using other people, using ourselves, taking away our worship from God and turning it on to self. Selfishness. So using the world in a selfish manner is the definition of sin, and we've just frankly got to stop it. As N.T. Wright says, we're not to make this world into an ashtray that we just use and destroy and throw away for our own monetary gains at the moment. We are to take care of God's world. Let me give you a quick what I saw off of the internet just today, and just one source, and I don't remember the site, but did you know that only ones and twos, plastics, ones and twos, only those two, number 1 and number 2, are actually recyclable. The rest, 3 through 7, are not recyclable. The plastics 3 through 7 are not recyclable. At most they get thrown into an incinerator for energy, for burning, for electricity in a garbage incinerator. Only 1s and 2s are recyclable. And the site that I saw today said that only 29% of number 1s, like the milk carton I just threw into the dumpster, the recycle bin, only 29% of those are recycled. And of that 29%, only 21% of those is actually made into something else. So we have this minuscule percentage of plastics that are getting recycled, and everything else is just being thrown into landfills or ultimately the ocean. God forgive us of that. Christians, we need to be taking this seriously. We need to be working against all of this destructiveness in our world and God's good creation. We need to be taking this very seriously, and I'm going to ask you to do that today. I'm going to beg you to take this very seriously today. So sticking on this idea of plastics, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and this grad student in environmental studies, he was saying how, on plastics there's that triangle that looks similar to the recycle symbol, but it's really not the recycle symbol. It's a plastic identification number that is mysteriously made to look like the recycle number. In fact, it's a trick of the plastics industry, and they have worked it around. Now, I don't know if this is true, but this fellow was saying how the plastics industry has worked it around so that they have a foothold in Washington. So here in the United States, for instance, it's hard to move them out of controlling this and destroying the planet for their own good. Now, I don't know about that, any of that is true, but it's worth looking into. But here's what I do know, that you and I, as both Christians, we as disciples, people are seeking God's face. This earth, this world, this sky and soil and sea and each other has been given to us as a gift by God, and it's been called good. People have been called good, although we are broken by sin so often. But we are a gift of God, and this is a gift of God, and you and I are to take care of it in every way we can. So I will encourage you to take care in your shopping, your buying habits, your plastic consumption, your usage of fuel and flying, all of the things that in your homes, the using of energy and better insulation and better windows, planting trees on the west side of your house and on the east side of your house, doing all of these things to help curb climate change and take care of what God has given to us. We only have one chance at this. God has given us this responsibility. Christians, church people, disciples of Jesus, let us rise up and be leaders in this rather than obstinate followers or just obstinate roadblocks. Let us be leaders in this. Let us take a place where we can say, yes, we have done what God has called us to. We have made this garden flourish for now and forever. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.